Serena Williams and WTA defend Coco Gauff's crash-out at Australian Open. Coco Gauff is still making headlines days after her behind-the-scenes crash-out following her quarterfinals loss at the Australian Open. Coco, the number 3 seed, served 5 double faults and lost 6-1, 6-2 to 12-seeded Elina Svitolina in the 59-minute match. The 21-year-old tennis champ held her composure until after she entered the tunnel leading to the locker rooms. She was caught on CCTV smashing her tennis racket repeatedly on the floor in a hallway. Coco called for privacy for tennis players who vent their frustrations in player areas. Tennis players and fans weighed in on the incident online. Retired women's tennis legend Serena Williams offered to teach Coco how to demolish her tennis racket with just one swipe. Passion. Caring. Matters. Nothing wrong with hating to lose. Now Coco, when you want I can show you how to demolish in one swipe. Serena style. The 23-time Grand Slam champion wrote on X, Twitter. Serena's husband, Alexis Ohanian, also defended the Atlanta-born tennis star. Alexis wrote, "Not gonna lie, I love this energy and emotion from at Coco Gauff. Media are gonna spin this private moment for a headline to get some clicks, but Coco did nothing wrong, hey." The World Tennis Association, WTA, defended Coco in a statement addressing her privacy concerns. The WTA stands with our players and takes their concerns about privacy and cameras at the Australian Open seriously, said WTA Chair Valerie Camillo. The heart of competition, Serena Williams, the WTA, and Coco Gauff's Australian Open story. The very essence of sport, particularly on tennis's biggest stages, is equal parts triumph and heartbreak. It's a theater where physical prowess meets emotional vulnerability, a space where every serve, volley, and sprint is intertwined with the human experience, ambition, fear, joy, frustration, and the ceaseless craving to win. In late January 2026, this intense blend of athletic excellence and raw emotion played out vividly at the Australian Open, centering on Coco Gauff's shocking quarterfinal exit and the ensuing conversation about privacy, passion, and the modern athlete's experience. What unfolded wasn't merely a match result, it became a cultural moment, amplified by voices inside and outside the sport. A shock from Melbourne, Coco Gauff's unexpected exit. Coco Gauff, at just 21 and already one of women's tennis's most compelling figures, headed into the Australian Open with high expectations. As a multiple Grand Slam champion and world number 3, she was seen not just as a contender, but as a leading voice of her generation on court. Yet in a stunning turn, Gauff was comprehensively beaten in the quarterfinals by Elina Svitolina, 6-1, 6-2, a match that lasted under an hour and saw Gauff struggle to find rhythm and control. The result alone was noteworthy, but what followed captured the world's attention in an unexpected way. After leaving the court, Gauff, emotional and clearly affected by the loss, took a moment to vent her frustration by smashing her tennis racket in a player's area she thought was private. What she didn't know was that cameras were still rolling, and the footage soon spread widely on social platforms and in news coverage. For many, it was a startling image, not because of the destruction of equipment, but because it peeled back the curtain on an athlete's emotional process in a way that is rarely shown. A legend speaks. Serena Williams steps in. Among the voices that rose to Gauff's defense was none other than Serena Williams, arguably the greatest female tennis player of all time, a figure who transcends sport and embodies the very soul of competitive spirit. Williams' response was both heartfelt and cheekily supportive. On social media, she reposted a message defending Gauff's emotional reaction and added, "Nothing wrong with hating to lose. Now Coco, when you want I can show you how to demolish in one swipe." Serena style. It was the kind of message that carried multiple layers. Solidarity. Williams acknowledged that intense competition hurts, that passion matters, and that losing, especially at the hands of one's own frustration, is a deeply human experience. She spoke from personal history, having herself flashed emotional outbursts in her career, normalizing what Gauff experienced rather than dismissing it. Gentle mentorship. Through humor and encouragement, Williams suggested that emotional expression is part of athletic identity, even something to learn from rather than be ashamed of. This wasn't an idle comment from a celebrity bystander. It was a deliberate and meaningful public show of support from one champion to another. It signaled to fans and critics alike that emotional reaction is not weakness, but another facet of the drive that propels elite athletes. Beyond the racket, the WTA takes a stand. The episode sparked broader discussion within the women's tennis community, not simply about whether Gauff's reaction was acceptable, but about how the sport treats its athletes in moments of vulnerability. The Women's Tennis Association, WTA, the governing body of the Women's Pro Tour, responded to concerns around privacy, especially how cameras capture players off the court. In a statement, they acknowledged players' desire for spaces free of constant observation, pointing out that emotional moments deserve respect rather than being packaged into viral clips without context. The WTA emphasized that athletes deserve areas where they can recover emotionally without being filmed. The commentary supported by top players wasn't frivolous, but a legitimate human request. Conversations are underway with tournament organizers and broadcasters to balance fan engagement with respect for player dignity. It was a rare and candid moment in professional sport, an acknowledgement that the demands of modern coverage can sometimes overshadow the welfare of the individual athlete. The larger conversation, emotion, authenticity, and public life. There's a profound tension at work here between a world that wants constant access, instant viral moments, behind-the-scenes insight, dramatic reaction shots, and the lived reality of athletes who are, above all, human beings. In another reflection of this debate, Gauff herself spoke about trying to find a quiet place to release her frustration, saying that she specifically wanted privacy and was unaware that cameras still followed her. This speaks to a larger cultural question. Do we truly want to see every emotional moment of an athlete's journey? Or are there parts of that process that deserve dignity, quiet, and respect? The discussion isn't against media coverage. Rather, it's about thoughtful, ethical choices around when broadcast access serves the sport and when it serves mere spectacle. For a player like Gauff, whose electrifying talent fuels a new generation's passion for tennis, these conversations are especially significant. She is not just an athlete. She's a symbol of competitiveness, resilience, and authenticity, and her reactions reflect all of those things. Williams, who walked those same paths, clearly saw that truth and stood firmly by her. Why this matters: the intersection of legacy and modern sport. Legacy of emotion in tennis. Tennis, unlike many team sports, places each player alone on court for hours, battling not just an opponent, but their inner world, doubt, frustration, hope,